The last American president who said no to Israel was assassinated 4 months later. Everything in this video is from declassified United States government documents. Imagine this. You are the most powerful man on earth. An ally, a country you fund, you protect, you defend, is secretly building a nuclear bomb. They are lying to your face, and they expect you to do nothing. Most presidents looked the other way. John F. Kennedy did not, and 4 months after he warned them, he was dead. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is in the declassified documents. Welcome to the story behind the story. January 20th, 1961. Kennedy becomes the 35th President of the United States. 43 years old, youngest elected president in American history. War hero, Harvard graduate, father. But more than anything, a man who actually believed in something. He believed nuclear weapons would destroy the world. He believed the CIA had become too powerful. He believed America should talk to its enemies, not just bomb them. In other words, he believed things that made very powerful people very nervous. Now, the day before his inauguration, something critical happens. Kennedy sits down with the outgoing Secretary of State. The Secretary leans in and says, "Mr. President, 2 countries are secretly racing for the nuclear bomb, India and Israel." Kennedy hadn't taken office yet, and already the most explosive secret in the Middle East was sitting in his lap. Most men in that chair would have nodded, filed the report, moved on. Kennedy looked directly at the Secretary and said, "We need to stop this." That decision, made before he even sat behind the Oval Office desk, would cost him everything. Out in the Negev desert, which is, the driest and most remote corner of Israel, construction had been quietly happening since 1958. Workers, trucks, cement, steel. When American satellites finally spotted it, the Israelis had an answer ready. It's a textile factory. A textile factory. In the desert. American intelligence didn't buy it for a second. When they pushed harder, Israel changed the story. Actually, it's a metallurgical research center. Still no weapons. Still totally peaceful. Still a lie. Finally, in December 1960, Israeli Prime Minister Ben-Gurion was forced to admit it publicly. He stood before the Israeli parliament and told the world, "Yes, there is a nuclear reactor at Dimona." But he insisted it was intended exclusively for peaceful purposes. Kennedy sent his scientists to inspect it. What they found, what they were allowed to find, would become one of the most sophisticated deception operations in modern history. Here is what was actually happening inside Dimona. Before every single American inspection visit, Israeli officials spent weeks preparing. They built a fake control room, complete with fake control panels, fake computer instruments, fake readings. They practiced in that fake room, over and over and over again. So when American scientists arrived, everything looked normal. Meanwhile, hidden underground, the real work continued. A secret plutonium reprocessing plant had been built beneath the reactor. The elevator leading down to it was concealed behind fake walls. Kennedy's intelligence confirmed what was really happening. A classified report, now declassified, concluded Israel may have decided to undertake a nuclear weapons program. Kennedy knew, and he refused to pretend he didn't. So, what did Kennedy do? Well, he wrote letters. Not polite diplomatic letters, mind you. These were direct, urgent, unambiguous letters. Letter after letter to Prime Minister Ben-Gurion, demanding access to Dimona, demanding real inspections, demanding the truth. In May 1963, Kennedy put it plainly in writing. American scientists must have access to all areas of the Dimona complex, including any plutonium separation plant. No limits, no restrictions. That same month, Ben-Gurion resigned. Some historians believe Kennedy's relentless pressure played a direct role. But Kennedy didn't stop. He sent the same ultimatum to the new Prime Minister, Levi Eshkol. And then, in July 1963, just 4 months before Dallas, Kennedy sent his strongest message yet. He told Eshkol in writing, America's commitment and support of Israel could be seriously jeopardized if Israel did not cooperate. No American president had ever spoken to Israel like that. None have since. Think about what that means. This was the leader of the free world, telling the most politically connected foreign government in Washington, either comply or we walk. Eshkol stalled, delayed, pushed back. Kennedy kept pushing. Then, November 22nd, 1963, Dallas, Texas. One bullet changed the world. Lyndon Baines Johnson is sworn in as president on Air Force One. Jacqueline Kennedy, still in her pink suit, still covered in her husband's blood, stands beside him. And within months, everything Kennedy stood for begins to reverse. Not slowly, rapidly. Under Kennedy, America gave Israel defensive anti-aircraft missiles, cash payment required. Under Johnson, the weapons started flowing like a flood. In his very first budget, Johnson allocated $71 million for Israel. That was a 75% increase overnight. The following year, it nearly doubled again. And it wasn't just money. Johnson gave Israel 250 modern battle tanks, 48 Skyhawk bomber attack aircraft, artillery, electronic warfare systems, intelligence equipment. Here is the number that should stop you cold. The total military assistance Johnson gave Israel in a single fiscal year was greater than the total of all military aid America had given Israel since the country was founded in 1948. Every dollar, every weapon, every year, gone in one budget. And the nuclear inspections Kennedy had fought so hard for? The pressure evaporated. The inspections became a formality, a performance. And in 1967, fully armed, fully equipped, nuclear program completely untouched, Israel launched the Six-Day War. In just 6 days, Israel captured the West Bank, Gaza, the Sinai, the Golan Heights. It tripled its territory. The occupation that continues to this day began in those 6 days. Kennedy had spent 3 years trying to prevent the conditions that made that war possible. He was gone 4 months after his final warning. You connect the dots. Now let's talk about the other enemy Kennedy made. April 1961, the Bay of Pigs. The CIA had been secretly planning an invasion of Cuba for years. They handed the plan to Kennedy. He approved it reluctantly. It was a catastrophe. 1,200 Cuban exiles captured, over 100 killed. America humiliated on the world stage. Kennedy was furious, not just embarrassed, furious. He told his closest aides, "I want to splinter the CIA into 1,000 pieces and scatter it to the winds." He wasn't just venting. He fired CIA Director Allen Dulles, forced out his 2 top deputies, and tasked his senior advisor to draft plans that have now been declassified, to break the CIA apart entirely. Give all covert operations to the State Department. split the agency in two, give it new names, new structure, new limits. Those plans exist. They are public record. And inside those documents, one fact that should shock you. 47% of all political officers in American embassies around the world were actually CIA operatives. Not diplomats, not civil servants, CIA. Nearly half of America's diplomatic presence across the entire planet was intelligence infrastructure. Kennedy was trying to tear all of that apart. So, in the final years of his presidency, Kennedy was simultaneously pressuring Israel to halt its nuclear weapons program, drafting plans to dismantle the CIA, pursuing secret peace talks with Cuba, signaling a withdrawal from Vietnam. Every major power structure in Washington had a reason to want him gone. Here is what we know, from documents, not theories. Kennedy demanded that Israel stop and terminate its nuclear program. Kennedy was killed 4 months after his final ultimatum. The day Johnson took power, the policy reversed completely. The weapons flowed, the inspections stopped, the war came. The official story says Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. Oswald was dead within 48 hours, shot before he could say a single word in court. In 1979, the United States Congress itself concluded Kennedy was probably killed as the result of a conspiracy. That is not a theory. That is the official record of the United States House Select Committee on Assassinations. The documents stayed classified for decades. Some are still being released today. Ask yourself why. John F. Kennedy served 1,036 days. In those days, he stood between Israel's nuclear ambitions and the world. He stood between the CIA and its unchecked power. He stood between the military-industrial complex and its next war. Then he was gone. And everything he blocked happened anyway. You decide what that means. Here we are, the story behind the story. Share this, because the truth doesn't trend. It spreads. Don't forget to like this and share your opinion in the comments.